In this lick, we're going to actually combine some of the 5th and 7th fret harmonics, as well as some of the 5th, 7, and 12 independently, and then we'll put some of the 5 and 7 together. Here's what that sounds like. So when playing harmonics, one thing you have to watch out for is making sure that if you're playing something on the 7th or the 5th frets, make sure that you pick a little bit closer to the bridge. That's going to allow it to ring out a lot more clear and clean. So for instance, if I play a low E string here on the 5th fret, you can hear how it's very quiet. And then if I move this back here and do the exact same thing, so a lot of times the distance away from whatever you're pressing is going to give a little bit more emphasis and volume to it. So the other thing in this one is we're going to be hopping around back and forth quite a bit. So you can, if you want, just use, and I used to do that when doing some of these harmonics. I love the tone of what the middle finger was when I would do the harmonics, but you want to keep your hand spread out a little bit, so get used to using your index and your pinky in order to hop back and forth. And you can use your other fingers that are available too, but don't try to do all of the fingers, all of the harmonics with just 1 or 2 fingers. You have other fingers at your disposal. So the first one is going to start on the 5th fret here, right on the G. So when I play that, I'm going to just pick a little bit back here. Now a lot of this will have, because there's a lot of 7th and 5th harmonics, maybe I'll plan to pick these notes right at the edge of the sound hole, and that's kind of a good medium place to get these to ring out. So we're going to go the 5th fret here, and then the 7th fret on the B. And then from there, so and notice there, instead of going like 1st finger or just 2nd finger, we're going to go index, pinky, and then I'm going to grab the pinky all the way down here. And from there, I'm going to be hopping back and forth, so it's a little easier to have your hand centered, and you can use your pinky and your 1st finger where you need it. So then from there, I go all the way down to the 12th fret here. And then I'm going to add the 12th fret on the B string. And now from here, I have to go to the 7th fret on the D. So with that, just making sure that your hand is not kind of creeping back up over the sound hole. Keep it back right around here, just for this lick here. And then the 7th fret. And then I'm going to go to the 12th fret on the G and the 12th fret on the D string. And then I'm going to go to the 7th fret right here. Now one thing that I tend to do, this is kind of just a habit, is there's a difference between a free stroke and a rest stroke. A rest stroke is kind of when you pick a note and I just kind of rest the finger onto the very next string. And there's a difference in sound. So for instance, if I do a free stroke here with the thumb, or a rest stroke, there's a little bit more oomph and emphasis to it. And so sometimes I'll play it free stroke, sometimes rest stroke. Just know that those are options. They're a little bit more tricky to do up here, but they're still possible. So what you want to do is, like if you were going to play here, your index finger is going to go on the 12th fret, and then you just sort of rest the finger after you pick it onto the B string. If you play the free stroke, then you're just pulling it off the strings altogether. You don't have to worry about touching the next string there. But those give you a little bit of a different emphasis sound. So then after I go to the 7th here, I'm going to go to the 7th fret down on the low E. And then after that, I'm going to grab the 12th fret on the D, and then the 7th fret on the A string. And then the 12th fret on the D and G right here. So now what gets interesting is if you use the 5th fret and the 7th fret harmonics played at the same time. So what we'll do here is go ahead, put your 1st finger on the 5th fret of the D string, and then put your 4th finger on the B string on the 7th fret. And you want to pick them at the same time. And don't worry about rest stroke here, because you only have 1 string in between. So it's going to be really tricky to do both of those. But just make sure you pick back, a little closer to the bridge. And we're going to do the same identical thing from the D and B strings. Then we're going to go down to the A and D strings. The A and G. And then from there, we're going to let these ring out like this, right? So we have... Remember, the 7th fret is always going to be a little bit louder than the 5th fret. So if anything, you can compensate for that by just digging in a little bit more with your thumb on the 5th fret, and then just a little bit lighter. And every guitar will respond differently, so keep that in mind as well. So let's try this now. I'm going to play this at 120 beats per minute with a click, and it sounds like this.